Here we go. TaylorMade new drivers for 2025. They're all here in the bag in front of me, and we've even got a few little sneak previews of what's to come as well in the brand new TaylorMade drivers. But these are the Qi35. There's 4 models. There is a standard model. There's the Qi35 Max, Qi35 LS, and also a Qi35 Lite. Lots and lots of technology to unpack here. Like more than I've ever seen before. So buckle up, get ready, because these are, I think these are very, very exciting drivers to kick things off in 2025. Okay, which one to start with? I think this is the standard model. Let's go with the standard model first and talk a lot more about info first. It is probably the most spec'd up driver release I've ever witnessed. Like, there's so much going on, it's actually ridiculous. So let's start things off. The naming, Qi35. Now, they have come up with this storyline that there's reasons why it's called Qi35. Obviously we had the Qi10 recently, which was this quest for inertia of 10K. They achieved that last time in last year's release. Most people probably expected it to be maybe Qi11 or Qi15. The fact it's gone over all the way to Qi35. The 3 stands for form, fit, function. And the 5 is for the 5 different heads. Now, as you know, I said at the start of this video, there's 4 heads. Well, there is, but there's also a special head, a fitting head, which I'll tell you a bit more information about later. So there are actually 5 heads in total. For me, I thought it'd have been a easier story just to say it looks like it's come from the year 2035. It does. This is the most modern looking driver I have ever seen in my life. I mean, it starts off with the head cover. I mean, it's a bit space age. You know, if you asked someone in the 1970s what's the world going to look like in 2035 or 2025 that we're in now, I feel like this is the kind of theme they'd go down. Very space age, and it blends into the driver as well, like this kind of grey carbon finish. The detailing that's gone into this is really quite intense. Now, going back to this kind of 3 forms, the form, fit and function, one of the main characteristics is the look of this driver this year. They've taken huge inspiration from things like fighter jets, from Lamborghini cars, to things that are fast and powerful and exotic to some degree. I mean, almost, again, going back to that kind of spaceship idea, I almost see it as being quite space age, almost like you're taking inspiration from a space shuttle, you know, that's orbiting around the globe right now. It's super futuristic looking. And I think it'll be very polarizing. I think it'll be a very polarizing look. Personally, I love it. Personally, I love the look of this driver. And I know many of you watching are going, what the hell? Surely not. But a lot of people out there will be going, yeah, I love it too. Even when we're just handing it around here at the office, the amount of guys here just like pick it up and went, love it, or pick it up and went, hate it. It's like Marmite, it's crazy. There is a different head as well though, I'll come on to that in a minute. Like I said, there's lots and lots going on. We're probably not arguing with it too much. I feel like I need to start hitting. I'm gonna hit some. I'm just gonna get into it. And then we'll tell you a little bit more about information because we've not even unpacked half of the story just yet. This is the base model. So this is the TaylorMade Qi35. That's it. Now this is a 9K MOI, which is higher than last year's base model, and it has 2 movable weights, one at the back, one at the front. I've got this one at the back at the moment, so there's 13 gram at the back, 3 gram at the front. Let's just get hitting. I feel like I'm desperate to start hitting these drivers. Again, going back to looks, I absolutely love it. It's different, it is. It's really different. It's futuristic, it's space age, but I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the best looking drivers I've ever seen. I mean, it's not pretty, but it's a fairway finder. I didn't hit that great, but it's absolutely down the center line. Silence. What the hell? Okay. Not even started to unpack what's under the cover of this. We've only just scraped the surface so far on the technology story. Oh yeah, that's nice. That is really nice. First few shots hit. Positive, very positive. Okay, I'm gonna hit more obviously with the standard model in a moment, but I want to talk technology. I think the Max head is probably the best one of doing this. TaylorMade last year with the Qi10 really had this mission of getting to 10K MOI, moment of inertia. It's effectively creating the most forgiving driver brands can create. And since that, you've seen, well, actually Ping really kind of did it almost exactly the same time as TaylorMade, and a lot of brands have followed suit since. However, TaylorMade have seen a little bit of an issue with the 10K drivers. When you pull the weight back, far as back in the head, the centre of gravity starts to get affected, and it actually starts to point too high up in the club face. Now the reason why that's an issue is a lot of golfers, bad shots, will hit low on the face. And that's where you get low launch and high spin and a short driver shot. The optimum performance is obviously in the middle of the driver head, or actually slightly higher in the driver face. Sometimes when I hit a driver slightly high, obviously not skied, but in that top part of the face, you actually get great performance. High launch, low spin, more distance. So with that centre of gravity being pulled back, it's then effectively moving higher up in the face. TaylorMade have gone, whoa, 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 we need to change that. We need to pull the centre of gravity down on the face. So, in simple terms, they've reduced the weight of the crown even more, and they've put a big lumpy 35 gram weight here in the back, and they've lowered it as much as possible. As much as physically possible. So they're still keeping it back, but as low as possible. Therefore, the centre of gravity drops closer to the middle again. Hopefully that makes sense. And that whole centre of gravity story runs through the Max, the Standard, and the LS. And in fact, the TaylorMade guys are so proud of where they've got the centre of gravity position in the LS driver, they were raving about it. And again, if you can make a low spin driver forgiving, that is the secret sauce. So obviously that's the big story, but we also see storylines come from previous models. Twist face is still in this driver, albeit doesn't say it anywhere anymore. Obviously, a few years ago, it was tattooed all over the face. The whole storyline was twist face. It's just now in the driver face. That's what they're doing moving forward. And carbon face. This is the 4th generation of carbon face. They've even made it faster and better, more forgiving across the faces. We see that in a lot of storylines. They are not diverting away from twist face or carbon face yet. I still don't know if it's going to carry on forever. I'm skeptical of that, but it's still in here now, but it's definitely less of a story. They've kind of just, yeah, it's still happening. Right, let's hit some more shots. So again, I'm still in the standard model here. Also a big idea with this aerodynamics. They've shaved areas here from the bottom of the head. It's almost this, very similar to Sim shape a little bit. We saw that still in Qi10, but this kind of Sim shape and Sim 2 shape going back. I'm going to show you something later that if you don't like the look of this driver head, I think you'll like the look of the other ones. Okay, I'm gonna go one more with this driver. I'm finding out something I'm a little bit concerned about. I don't know, I'm sensing, I'm feeling something. Yeah, and that's a good example of what I'm worried about. Not the 305-yard drive I've just hit. There's, yeah, we need to dive into something. Okay, so Qi35 Max driver. This is the one with the big chunky weight at the back. There's no other adjustability apart from obviously the loft sleeve. Interesting, when I got fitted for these drivers, I got them all in 10.5 degree head, but cranked down to, well, pretty much 9 degrees. what is interesting and different from the Qi10, the Qi10 had a much shallower hosel on it, so it basically made the shaft shorter. That's discontinued with the Qi35. They're not making shorter shafts with them now, unless you obviously order them bespoke. Same look, almost exactly the same look. It's nowhere near as toed in than the Qi10 model. That was something I wasn't the biggest fan of with the Qi10. It was very much aiming left. Let's get hitting this. That was nice. Yeah, that was nice. My big complaint with the Qi10, as much as it was a forgiving driver, it wasn't very poppy off the face. Like, it was a bit peh, there's nothing to it. That was well hit. That was a proper golf shot. Solid. Really solid. Awesome numbers. That was interesting, because that wasn't a good hit. And I thought I was going to go miles right, and it has gone right, but that's still fairway, if not just first cut of rough. That was really solid again. Right, I'm going to hit a bunch more. Let's collect some data with the Max driver. But signs so far are actually very, very promising. Okay, that's the Qi10, no it's not, it's the Qi35 Max driver being hit. Yeah, it definitely strengthened my theory on something I'm a bit concerned about. Okay, one of the things I want to talk about is fitting and products for fitting. Now, if you pay close attention, you'll see these little reflective dots that get put on a club face, certainly when using GC Quad. And it helps the cameras in the GC Quad to track the club face's direction, speed, lie angle, everything. It tells us everything about the data of the club head. And from that information, you can get fitted correctly with the correct driver for you. Now, those little dots, as much as I love Foresight and I love GC Quad, I absolutely hate those little dots. Like, they have been the bane of my life for the last 10 years, putting those little dots on. I find them everywhere. You get all these little reflective bits everywhere. They're a pain to take off. And if you're playing tournament play with them on, you also get penalised.
I will say though, that little dot on your club is illegal, so that's already a 2-shot penalty. He's only 8 up now, so I'm kidding.
I've got about 16 of them on my club. Now, TaylorMade have also been a bit frustrated by these dots. So one of the 5 driver heads you've got so far, Qi35 Standard, Max, LS and Lite, they're also bringing out a fitting head. And that fitting head has this face on it. Now, if you look closely, there's 6 little reflective compartments for here, here, here and here. They are inbuilt reflective dots for GC Quad. Oh my goodness. I mean, that is a lifesaver. That's music to my ears. So the fitting heads that you might, if you go to get a TaylorMade fitting, likeliness it'll have one of these faces in the head. So you get a driver with this face, obviously, but the normal models, I was hoping, I'll be honest, I was hoping it was going to be on the normal models, but it's not. You can see here I've got one of those reflective dots on the club head here at the top, because that gives us club head speed, but to get all of the data, which you don't really need for a driver review, you'd have all those dots on. Well, they are bringing out a driver fitting head with all of the dots built in. I wish that was on every driver, I really do. Maybe it will be one day. Now, the reason why I bring that fitting head up right now in this review is because TaylorMade came here to the H studio and fitted me for these new drivers. We didn't film it. for obvious reasons. But they fitted me with the fitting head. And using GC Quad, we got really dialed in with the driver. And this was the driver they actually fitted me for, the one that would suit me the best. It's the Qi35 LS head with the weight, the majority of the weight at the back, 13 gram weight at the back, 3 gram weights in the front, in 10.5 degrees, but cranked down to lower. This is the driver they fitted me for. And I must admit, when I was hitting it in testing, and I take it with a pinch of salt when I'm getting fitted, it was pretty solid. But right now, here, without TaylorMade, ready to test this product and give my honest opinion of it. This looks like a mean looking driver. I mean, it's really, really good looking. Slightly smaller head. Again, the aerodynamics has changed ever so slightly. You still get this kind of matted carbon crown, which I do love. The more I see it, the more I love it. Let's give it a rip. Let's see how this flies. Qi35 LS. A little bit more information of the LS as well. It's the lowest center of gravity position, not just in this family, but in the last number of generations of TaylorMade drivers they brought out, which they're, again, really proud of. Still has a high MOI. For a low spin driver, that's a bonus. And it's still 460cc. So even though it looks more squashed in size, it's still maximum size. Right, let's give this bad boy a rip. Oh, that was hit well. It's a little bit up the left, granted, but bloody Nora, that was hit well. I think I might have made a new friend with this driver. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hit a bunch more. That wasn't the longest driver, it was a dead straight one. I'm gonna hit a bunch more and see if we can get some, see what data we get with this LS driver. Really nice. Oof. Yes, please. It's a fairway finder. It's not absolutely ripped, but it's down the fairway. Oh, that's absolutely smoked. It's absolutely smoked. It was 291 carry distance, 2.47 yards off the target line. Okay, this has been a really interesting review. Now, I've been testing products on my channels for 12 years. I've tested every single TaylorMade driver they've brought out in that time frame, and I think this is possibly one of the most interesting driver releases I've possibly ever seen. Now, first off, I want to talk about a few things. Price for these drivers, £529. So pretty much in keeping with what they've brought out over the last few years. I think personally, the look of these drivers is fantastic. I do. I think they're amazing. I understand they're not going to be to everyone's taste. So one thing I wanted to show you, and this is a bit of an exclusive, they will be bringing them out in this finish as well. Now, I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know how much, I don't know who can get them, genuinely, but these are Qi35s in a totally different finish, this kind of almost blacked out version. These look incredible, they do. And what's interesting, I think if these were the main models and then they brought out this model, this would be more desirable. Similar, they brought it out in this model, I think these might be more desirable. I think they look fantastic, they do. I still am more in the camp of the space age model, but these are the blacked out versions. We'll throw in some close-ups of them as well. But why I think it's interesting is I think they've messed up something. Let me explain. I'm going to take out this light driver just for the time being because we didn't test that one. It's not really suited to me, it's suited to more slower swing speeds, but if you've got a slower swing speed, definitely worth trying. I think they've messed up something here. And it goes to the base model, the standard model, and the X model. My opinion, because they've moved that center of gravity lower, I believe these two drivers are too low spinning. like considerably too low spinning. Now, why that's an issue, you need spin to keep the ball up in the air. Now, granted, I'm a player who hits quite high on the face, so they might just be too low spinning for me, but they remind me very much of the SLDR driver that TaylorMade brought out, what, probably 8-9 years ago? And if you remember the story with them, it's all about loft up. This is my prediction. I think the base model and the Max model this year, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of players go into a much more lofted model, like 12 degrees, 13 degrees, maybe even higher. And I've said it a few times on the channel, I still believe a brand should bring out a 16-degree driver. I think the Qi35 Max in a 16-degree driver would be the most popular driver ever made. That's my prediction. For the mass amount of golfers, you're not going to see Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler or Bryson DeChambeau using one, you're not. But I think for the mass market, a 16-degree Qi35 Max would be one of the most popular drivers in the world. That's my take. I think these two are too low spinning, and it sees it in the it looks it in the numbers. If we dive through the numbers here, TaylorMade Qi35, average carry distance 284, brilliant. For me, that's superb. Ball speed a little bit lower, 157, but I'm not too concerned about that. Average spin rate, this is average spin rate, less than 2,000. And there was a couple of proper knuckleballs that were dropping out the sky. You got that in SLDR. SLDR, balls would drop out the sky too quickly. You had to loft it up. I think if I lofted that up, it would resolve that issue. TaylorMade Qi35 Max, same thing again, great carry distance. The Max model this year, it's definitely an improvement on the Qi10 in my opinion, a drastic improvement, but it's really low spin again. Like 2,200 spin on that model, 278 carry distance, 156 ball speed, you know, I'd be happy with that. The one that really intrigued me was the actual LS model, the low spin model. That was giving me the best carry distance at 286. It was actually giving me the most amount of spin, albeit I've got all these heads in the same setup in 10.5 degrees, cranked down lower slightly. Ball speed 158 miles per hour. For me, the Qi35 LS not only gave me some of the longest drives I've hit this year, but some of the most accurate. Like, I felt like I could hit the fairway time and time again. And even the bad shot just leaked a little bit right. It wasn't too dangerous for me. That's my take. It won't surprise me this year if there's a bit of a loft up campaign once these drivers get released. That is my hot take, that is my prediction. I think they're amazing. I think they look fantastic, and I think with the right fitting and kind of dialing the loft, I think they've absolutely nailed it. Guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, lots more to come. And that is the brand new TaylorMade Qi35. Apologise if this video was quite techy and detailed, but it's needed, certainly with how much tech are in these drivers.